Well, you guys are all leaving, so what, you want me to take Robyn, what Robyn has?
No TV lights, no TLC producers, no polished camera angles, just the cold, humming glow of a fluorescent bulb in a Flagstaff, Arizona courtroom. The silence was so sharp that even the tick of the wall clock sounded like a countdown to disaster. Christine sat at the plaintiff's table, a plain manila envelope in her hands labeled Exhibit Q. Her face was calm but unyielding, like someone who knew a storm was coming and was finally ready to face it head-on. Beside her, her lawyer waited, with the focus of a soldier bracing for an explosion that was long overdue. Across the aisle sat Kody Brown, stiff in his chair, jaw locked tight. His fingers tapped against the oak table, like a nervous drumbeat betraying the storm brewing inside him. Something about him was different today, less confident, less untouchable. Behind him, Robyn hunched forward, her eyes pinned to a single sheet of paper in her lap, as though sheer concentration could make it disappear. Meanwhile, Meri and Janelle sat silently in the gallery, trading glances that spoke volumes without a single word. Everyone was here. Everyone was waiting. But no one, not even the family themselves, was ready for what Christine was about to unleash. This wasn't about TLC contracts, reality TV paychecks, or even Coyote Pass. This was about something far more dangerous, a name. A name that had no business being on a legal property deed, but appeared anyway, right beside Kody Brown's. The judge shuffled the docket, frowning, confused. "Mrs. Brown," he said, peering over his glasses, "you've requested a reopening of questioning on Exhibit H. Is that correct?" Christine stood slowly, her voice steady and cutting. "Yes, Your Honor. We've obtained new property documents bearing Mr. Brown's signature. We believe these documents were registered with the intent to defraud." The courtroom stirred, a low murmur rippling through the benches. Kody didn't flinch, but Robyn's hands tensed on her chair, her knuckles pale against the wood. Christine stepped forward, handing the envelope to the bailiff. Inside were 2 notarized documents, just 9 months old, tied to a Flagstaff property lot. The judge examined them, his expression tightening with every line he read. Then, in a voice heavy with disbelief, he read aloud the second signature line, "Spouse of co-owner, Na James." The room froze. The silence was jagged, cutting. "Who is Na James?" the judge asked. Christine's reply landed like a bomb. "Your Honor, that is Kody Brown's 5th wife, or at least the woman he presented as his wife to, the county registrar." The courtroom didn't gasp, it cracked. The fracture was visible across every face. Meri straightened in her seat, Janelle leaned forward, and Robyn's mouth fell open in disbelief. Kody sat perfectly still, but a red flush crept up his neck, climbing like guilt trying to escape. The judge removed his glasses, staring hard at Kody. "Mr. Brown," he said, voice firm, "you'll need to explain why you co-signed a property sale under marital pretenses with a woman not listed in any legal marital record." Kody's voice, when it came, was soft and calculated. "It was an administrative error. She's just a business acquaintance." Christine cut him off, her tone sharp as glass. "5 different times she signed wife on these documents, Your Honor, and we have sworn affidavits proving Kody acknowledged her as such." The tension thickened. Robyn shifted uncomfortably, lips parting as if to protest, but no words came out. The judge flipped through the evidence, his patience thinning. "Mr. Brown, is this your signature?" Kody hesitated, then nodded stiffly. "Yes, but..." "No buts." The judge slammed his gavel once. "Court will recess for 10 minutes while I review these exhibits. Counsel, prepare your questions." As the echo of the gavel faded, Robyn leaned close to whisper something into Kody's ear. But he didn't turn to her. He didn't answer. Because no whisper could erase a black ink signature, and no denial could hide the truth Christine had just pulled into the light. Kody's lawyer shot up from his chair so fast it nearly toppled backward. His voice cracked with a desperate edge. "Objection! Overreaching!" It was the cry of a man drowning, clinging to legal technicalities as if they could save him from the avalanche of evidence piling higher with every passing moment. But the judge didn't even flinch. His glare was steady, his tone merciless. "Denied," he snapped. "We are well beyond excess, counselor. This is no longer about stretching boundaries. This is damage control." The words struck like a hammer blow. Even Christine, who had weathered years of this courtroom chess match, felt the reverberation. The judge's eyes cut across the room, slicing into Kody with the precision of a scalpel before returning to Christine. "Do you have any further evidence to present at this time?" Christine nodded once, her face unreadable but her posture radiating certainty. "Yes, Your Honor," she said quietly, "but I will reserve it until after recess." The gavel came down with a single thunderous crack. "Court will recess," the judge declared, yet no one moved. The silence was suffocating, the weight of revelation pressing down on every person in the room. For the first time, the truth hadn't been dragged out by Christine, or Meri, or even Janelle. It had come directly from the fifth wife herself, in her own handwriting, in her own confession. The deception was no longer speculation. It was fact. Kody Brown had never stopped building his kingdom. He had only stopped letting the others inside its walls. When the courtroom reconvened, the double doors swung open and every head turned. Robyn Brown had returned. But this was not the Robyn the public knew. Gone was the polished confidence of the favorite wife who had once sat smugly beside Kody during TLC interviews. This Robyn was diminished. Her eyes were sunken, her lips drawn tight, her skin pale. She looked like a woman hollowed out, stripped of the protective armor she had worn for years. Without a word, she slipped into a seat, not beside Kody, not even near him, but 2 rows behind, next to a paralegal she didn't know. She didn't glance at Kody once, and though he tried to turn toward her, desperate for a sign of solidarity, she refused him even a flicker of acknowledgement. Christine rose again, binder in hand. Her voice was calm, almost eerily controlled, yet every syllable struck like a blade. "Your Honor, for months I have provided this court with transfers, forged signatures, recordings, and now a letter from the so-called fifth wife herself. But today, I will show you the entire picture." She placed the massive white binder onto the evidence cart with a heavy thud. "This contains every financial anomaly I tracked over the last decade. Every single time Kody told us there was nothing left. Every time we were forced to cut corners. Every time one of us was made to sacrifice so another could succeed. The truth has been here all along, hidden in plain sight, buried in receipts and bank transfers." Christine flipped the binder open to a page marked 2017. That year, Kody told us the family couldn't afford Christmas gifts for the children. He insisted we had to tighten the belt. "But this receipt," she said, lifting the page so the judge could see, "shows a $22,700 wire transfer to an interior designer. And who was the client? None other than Na James." A gasp rippled through the gallery. Christine turned the page with deliberate slowness. "In 2019, he told us therapy wasn't reimbursable. Janelle and I begged for help but were denied. Yet Robyn's eldest received a personal coach, reimbursed straight from a business account. And in 2021, when Janelle's son was denied dental coverage, this binder shows an $8,300 transfer to an out-of-state boutique, again in Na's name." She slammed the binder shut. Every dime came from family funds. Every lie was dressed as sacrifice while he was funneling money elsewhere. The judge didn't interrupt. He didn't have to. His silence was judgment enough. Kody leaned forward, his voice sharp but defensive. "Christine, you're exaggerating. You're not the hero here. I was protecting this family." Christine's stare was unflinching. "Protecting us?" she spat. "You were protecting your pride. And when that wasn't enough, you replaced us. You called us obligations. You erased us with the stroke of a pen and the whisper of a lie." The word obligations hung in the air like smoke from a gun. Everyone in the room remembered the old recordings, the leaked audios where Kody had used the same words. Obligations. Liabilities. Legacy. His mask was slipping and no one could look away. The judge leaned forward, his tone sharp. "Mr. Brown, do you deny using the term wife as a means of avoiding legal scrutiny?" "Yes," Kody snapped. "I never meant it in a legal sense. It was just business." Christine's reply was lightning. "Then explain why she received benefits from the family trust. Explain why you introduced her as your spouse to the registrar. Explain why your voice is recorded saying, She is next in line. Kody's face flushed crimson. His lawyer tried to intervene, but the judge raised his hand for silence. Mrs. Brown, provide your 10-year financial history to this court. A full forensic review will be ordered. Kody's lawyer scrambled to his feet. Your Honor, this is becoming a vendetta. This is no longer a simple property dispute. The judge's gavel came down again, silencing him. This is not a vendetta. This is financial exploitation, deliberate misrepresentation under the law, and possibly conspiracy to defraud. Do not mistake this court for a stage, counselor. The evidence speaks for itself. For a moment, the only sound in the room was the steady tick of the clock on the wall. And then, from the gallery, Meri stood. Her heels clicked against the floor as she approached, her voice low but firm. Your Honor, she said, I have something to say. The judge arched a brow. Are you prepared to testify, Mrs. Brown? Meri nodded. Yes. And with that, the tide shifted again. The courtroom was still vibrating from the last bombshell when Lana Reyes, the former TLC producer, leaned forward with her testimony. Her words weren't the clipped phrases of a witness trying to distance herself from the scandal. No, they poured out like the confession of someone who had carried a burden too long. When we requested clarity in Season 16's tax scene, she said, her voice steady but trembling beneath the weight of truth, Kody told us to cut that footage. Christine's hands tightened on the edge of the table. Her eyes fell downward, as though the shame of those memories had to be physically anchored. We never saw that money, she murmured. Not once. Lana nodded sharply, affirming the betrayal. Because it wasn't divided. It was routed straight into a personal account. She glanced at the papers in front of her. In 2021 alone, Robyn's expenditure exceeded $380,000. Meanwhile, Janelle and Christine together had less than $9,000 in shared earnings. A murmur swept through the gallery like a storm rolling in from the mountains. Before the sound could settle, Na James, the so-called fifth wife, spoke softly from her seat. He told me I was his business partner, she said, her voice almost fragile, that the rest didn't share his vision, that he needed one person who believed. Kody snapped his head toward her, anger bubbling to the surface. You were a consultant, nothing more, he barked, the words echoing off the paneled walls. Christine rose to her feet. Her voice was sharp, but beneath it was years of quiet suffering sharpened into truth. No, Kody. She wasn't just a consultant, she was your future. And we were your past. You made that perfectly clear. The judge's gaze drifted to Lana, who continued relentlessly. When the showrunners discovered a property registry under NV's name, we were ordered to step back. We were told airing it would defame TLC. But make no mistake, Your Honor, the instruction originated from Kody, funneled through Robyn. The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time, the fraud wasn't just a family matter. It had become institutional. The judge leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable, yet heavy with judgment. This court now recognizes TLC as an ethical consideration for willful failure to disclose financial misconduct. We will issue an investigative request to legal counsel for TLC, full episode transcripts, unaired footage, and all financial reports regarding Brown family holdings. Robyn finally broke. Her composure, always so carefully maintained, shattered, in front of everyone. Tears streaked her cheeks as she cried out, "We never thought it would go this far. It was only supposed to protect the brand." The judge turned toward her, his voice like a blade. "Mrs. Brown, you didn't protect a brand. You protected a lie." And then, with emotion that electrified every camera in the room, he delivered the ruling that detonated across headlines within minutes. Effective immediately, all funds associated with Coyote Pass, Brown Family LLC, and any TLC-related media involving sister wives are hereby frozen pending forensic audit. The air cracked. Gasps, shouts, muffled sobs filled the chamber. Reality television had never collided with reality itself so violently. What had begun as a bitter family dispute had escalated into a multi-million-dollar scandal that reached beyond Kody Brown, beyond the wives, beyond Flagstaff. It now implicated the very network that had sold this family's chaos as entertainment. For the first time, Christine didn't look like a plaintiff. She didn't even look like the wronged ex-wife. She looked like a woman reclaiming her story, her truth, her life. The judge raised his hand toward her. "Miss Brown, the court will allow you to respond personally to the testimonies offered today. Stick to facts, not feelings." Christine stepped forward, her binder pressed to her chest. Her voice didn't tremble. It was steady, surgical, honed by years of betrayal. "Your Honor, what we've seen today is the collapse of a system built entirely on fantasy. What began as a family disintegrated because one man refused to live in truth. And more damning than that, what has been proven is that this lie was packaged, sold, and protected by a corporation that profited from our pain." The gallery erupted in applause despite the courtroom rules. The bailiff barked for silence, but the damage was done. Christine hadn't just called out Kody, she had called out the network itself. And then, the envelope appeared. A white package sealed was handed to the bailiff and passed up to the judge. Redacted footage, 20 minutes of it, courtesy of Lana Reyes, the very producer who had just sworn under oath. The court approved its entry, and the video began to play. Inside a production trailer, Kody sat beside Robyn and a young woman. The gallery now recognized her as Na James. Kody's voice was cold, almost smug. "Christine can live in the casita," he said, "but she is never going to know we registered that land." Robyn, flipping through a folder, muttered, "We have to keep this off the cameras. Just say the land is in your name. That's sufficient." Na, barely 26 at the time, looked unsettled. "Shouldn't the wives know?" she asked. Kody chuckled, a sound that made even the judge wince. "They're not wives anymore. They're liabilities." The gallery gasped. Some people actually rose to their feet. The video rolled on. Robyn's voice followed, sharp and chilling. "What matters is the brand, not the blood." The judge raised his hand. "Stop. Replay that last line." The technician rewound. Robyn's voice rang again. "What matters is the brand, not the blood." The words stripped away what little moral ground Robyn still possessed. In the gallery, Meri cried quietly into her hands. Janelle shook her head, trembling with rage. Christine, silent and still, closed her binder with a sharp click and turned her gaze to the judge. "We rest our case," she said simply. But the judge wasn't done. Not even close.